Hi everybody and welcome to the MoneyMan show, Generation XYZ. I'm Generation X, Ollie is Generation Z, and Shakes Rampedi, the Fist of Fury as he's known in Johannesburg, is Generation Y. What an interesting week in soccer, hey? And Shakes, I didn't fall asleep during any games. I watched almost every game.
Sure you watched the Leeds game then?
I did watch the Leeds game, yeah. I mean, it was. Let's just give a quick summary of the week. You got your Man United stealing a victory in the 10th minute of extra time with a penalty. You had Everton looking good and gelling again in their defeat of Crystal Palace. Was it that they beat?
Yep.
You got West Brom, who almost beat up Chelsea and were 3-0 up. And then came back to steal a draw from West Brom. We then had Southampton edging out Burnley. I think it was 1-0, was it? Then we had Tottenham and Mourinho sulking off after his team gave a late goal to drop points to the mighty Newcastle.
I would have been sulking off too.
And then probably the shock of the week, Leicester hammering with 3 penalties. 5-2 over Man City, in Man City. And then West Ham demolishing, and we talked about West Ham being a good candidate for relegation, losing 4-0. West Ham beating Wolves convincingly 4-0. And then Aston Villa, who are the only team in the Premier League that haven't given up a goal, and not looking too bad. And then, of course, your team, Arsenal, and Liverpool were just a class of difference in the sides,
Yeah. And it was a great weekend, like you mentioned. A lot of results, stuff that we had never seen before. Firstly, with the whole Brighton going up against Man United, the game ends at full time, but it's not over yet. VAR overturns a call that Neil Maupay handled the ball within the box, which I think it was a fully deserved penalty because he intentionally tried to blindside Maguire with him putting his hand in the air there. And then obviously you move on to a game like, for example, West Brom going up against Chelsea. West Brom took the lead very quickly and they scored 3 and they had so much confidence. And I think the Chelsea side, you're starting to see that it's going to take a long time before they eventually all start gelling. But the problem is that you've spent so much money, so they have to gel very soon, whether they like it or whether they don't. And there was a mistake from the captain that they appointed on the day, which was Thiago Silva. So he was getting a lot of tweets over the weekend. And then obviously you also had another surprise result with the Leicester game, Leicester having to win 5-2. And the thing is, for me, with that game, what was surprising is that I think teams are going to lose games. I think Man City will lose games. I think Liverpool will lose games as good as they are. Or Real Madrid, or Barcelona, or...
Well, Juventus lost this weekend and Bayern Munich.
And Bayern Munich. Exactly. So for me, I think the City one, it's the manner in which they lost. It's that scoreline and the way that they played and the way Vardy was running circles around that defense. I just have this feeling that Man City are just going to lose more games than what Liverpool are going to lose games. Yeah. And I just think there's a lot they have to fix. I mean, obviously they said Man City is linked with Ruben Diaz, which seems like it's almost done. A defender from Benfica is a very good defender as well. And my surprise result from the weekend was actually West Ham beating Wolves 4-0 because, I mean, West Ham everybody thought they're probably going to go down, but they actually outplayed Wolves. And I've never seen Wolves being outplayed like that since they were promoted with Nuno. And Fulham, obviously 3-0 doesn't help them. I think they are definitely going to fight relegation for sure. And as for Liverpool and Arsenal, like you said, chalk and cheese, different class. Arsenal a long way. And I just feel Liverpool are going to win more games than City and are going to lose less games than City. And that's why after 3 games played, they are the Premier League champions for me.
Well, you did say that 3.10 odds on Liverpool was a decent bet, huh? So, kudos for that. And I also said it in our very first show that Everton would be worth a tickle to finish in the top 4 or top 6. And you could have got that at 25 to 1. I don't think you can get it at 25 to 1. Let's have a look and see what it is now for a top 4 finish. Everton are into 4.95 from 25. So very interesting to see how the market's moved. Shakes, we're going to get up. We're going to have our own page on my website, moneymansa.co.za.
Yep.
And we're going to keep track, because in the first week you got 7 out of 10. We all got 7 out of 10. In the second week you got 6 out of 10. Ollie got 6 out of 10. The old man got 7 out of 10. And this week you had, geez, bud, I mean, you had 3 out of 10 this week, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, can you explain yourself, Shakes? I mean, you know more about football than I'll ever know.
That's what I thought too. I thought I knew about football more, and I have to be honest that some of these results you just never saw it coming. I thought, for example, like Chelsea, this was the moment for you to grab 3 points.
That would be a banker in anybody's accumulator, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and then Manchester City as well. It's they didn't lose to Leicester in this fixture last season, you know, and you just thinking to yourself, they had to win it again. Yes, they didn't have Jesus and Aguero, but they still had enough to win the game, and they were outplayed. And
It was nice to watch, though.
It was what?
It was nice to watch Man City get outplayed like that. I think if you didn't have money on it, it wasn't.
Well, you know, there's strange things happening in this world this year, as we know. And just how much of those things, because you look at a record number of penalties. I think it was 21 penalties that have been, or 19 penalties that have been given out, or something ridiculous. Yeah. I mean,
at the moment it's 6 penalties for handballs, which equates to the 2017-2018 handball penalties. So they've projected if they carry on at that would mean 88 penalties for handballs by the end of the season.
Yeah. Wow. And you know, your teams are playing every week. You know, they're squeezing in the Carabao Cup. You know, the FA Cup's going to start. The teams that are playing in Europe are going to start playing in Europe full on soon. So I think it's going to be a season of very strange happenings in the Premier League. Because every week, I can't remember, and I'm probably wrong, but I can't remember a season where there's been 7 goals scored in every week in at least one game.
Yeah.
So let's chat about how we did. I started off with 10,000 Rand. Last week I had that accumulator and it didn't come in, but I cashed out and took an 800 Rand profit halfway through the accumulator. And then I lost a 500 Rand bet with Wolves, I think. I had backed Wolves. But then I made a bundle of money on the NFL and the Wasps rugby yesterday. So my account's up to 17,738 Rand.
How are you sitting, Shakes?
Not bad. So for me, obviously, the bets that I've always had on the show haven't always really gone my way. But the one bet that I did make was around the PSL when the relegation playoffs were still happening. And I got the one game right superbly because the odds were so high. So I made a lot of money off that, close to 1,000. So my account right now is sitting at a healthy 12.4 thousand.
That's not bad. I mean, it's, you know, you can't win it in the first week, but you sure can lose it, you know. And Ollie was like a slapped arse, his face. I mean, he sent me a text, and you see he's getting emotional. And can you believe the refereeing? And it's like, I'm like, and you know, well, as someone that's tried to mentor him, it's, you know, betting is in ebbs and flows. If you won every week, there wouldn't be a bookie in business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure, there'd be a lot in business if I had every weekend like this past weekend, though, because I just kind of kept on losing. And the thing is, I had all of my bets were only to be finalized on sort of Sunday, Monday. So Saturday, I was still like, oh, these things are looking good and everything. Then Sunday, sort of 2 in a row, I took your accumulator. 4 of the 6 legs had come off. I was planning on cashing out after the Spurs game. Thought, let's not risk it with the loss. But the Wolves game should have been like 3-4-0 at halftime. It was 1-0. Son comes off, and then we get that ridiculous penalty draws in the 94th minute, and then there goes the accumulator. And then the other one I had was on both teams to score, Liverpool, Arsenal, which happened. Everton to win outright, which happened. And then both teams to score for Leeds, Sheffield. Leeds having conceded 7 and scored 7 in the first 2. And it looked like 2 guys playing down at like Rondebosch Cricket Club. Like 2 amateur football teams playing. I mean, there was that one breakaway goal. The goalie was out of the box. And he kicked it in, and the ball just sort of like rolled and got cleared. So 1-0, that didn't come off.
Yeah, that was very unlucky. Leeds had shipped 7 goals in their first 2 games, but that's why it's sport.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a dull moment in sport. Every moment matters. I like betting on.
Guys, as I'm hearing Oliver speaking in terms of some of the results that he made, I'm looking at my past bet slip that I had over the weekend, and it made sense from the bets that I placed. It just didn't come off. So I said Manchester United straight against Brighton, which happened. I said Chelsea straight win against West Brom. That didn't happen. I said Tottenham straight, and like Oliver said, a penalty last second of the game or the last minute of the game, and Newcastle get awarded that handball penalty that people are still talking about today. I said Manchester City straight, which they won this fixture last season. And that didn't happen. And then I had Liverpool and both teams to score, and that happened. And
luckily for me, I'm still in profit. I'm sitting at 13,170. It was a little bit higher before the weekend, but let's rebuild. Copy some of your NFL bets this week, and
that's the thing I always give to people from an advice point of view is if you're having a bad weekend, don't go chasing. Be pragmatic, do your homework, do your research, and make the right bet. It's not. You're right. When I look at the bets I made this week, Wolves should have beaten West Ham. There's no way that if anybody that had Chelsea in an accumulator should have lost on the evidence they had before them. So don't stop doing that and not doing your homework, and then trying to chase back your losses. That's the one piece of advice I give to everybody out there. Is be pragmatic. Don't change your methodology, and nothing's better than doing the research and putting in the time. And when you lose, I've always said to Ollie here that I don't mind losing because I know I made the right bet. Even when I lose, I know I made the right bet, and I can always live with myself that way. But when I've gotten into trouble in the past, I would be chasing bets. No research. Oh, that looks good. I like the color of their uniform. I'm going to put. It's just people tend to panic, and that's what you don't do. When you're having a bad, at least you're profitable, and the money you don't bet and lose, in essence, you win.
Yeah.
So
very true.
Keep your chin up there. It was a tough week. Bookie should have made a lot of money this weekend, and next week we'll get them.
Yeah, look, Kevin, you've mentioned some very important points. I think anyone who gets into the betting world should listen to this in terms of, because sometimes you end up losing something that was pretty obvious, and then when City and Leicester come around, you're like, no, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to put money on City to win, definitely. And then it doesn't happen. And before you know it, it just, the hole keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So there was a part of me, like, I had to just say, look, man, it wasn't your weekend. Just let it go, and
yeah.
Well, I want to share a story with you guys. When I played basketball in Wales, and the team went out to the casino one night, and I thought, being a clever young idiot, that I had a system, like everybody has a system, and I waited till red had come up, or red had come up 6 times in a row on the roulette table. So then I thought, it's got to come up black. The laws of averages. Put £100 down. Back then, I'm talking 1991. Put £100 down on black coming up, red. Okay, then I wanted to win 100, so I'm going to put 200. Red came up again.
8 times in a row.
Red came up 16 times in a row. The odds of that are 1/2 to the power of 16. They're mind-boggling. So there's no such thing as a system or a certainty. You can't be doing your research. And I lost every penny I had for a month's salary then. I was so poor, I had to eat what the Canadians would say French fries, but the British call chips. I ate so many chips because it was the cheapest staple food in the UK for the month that I became known as Chippy. That was my nickname on the basketball team. So for everybody, everybody that thinks they got a system, you don't. Unless you can go to a casino and count cards, grow up. There's no system. There's just intelligent gambling. So we'll leave it on that. And Shakes will be back this week to make our selections again for week 4. And I've taken a sneak preview of there's some great games coming up, and look forward to chatting to you and Ollie through those navigating week 4, match day 4.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it, guys. It's always been a massive pleasure. I'm hoping that I get some Oliver luck this weekend and get some bets there and there.
You need to be controversial to get my kind of luck.
Shakes, thanks for your time, and we'll speak to you later in the week, mate.